Episode 1: The Prophecy. Abigail, a teenage girl living in a remote African village, wakes up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat. She had the same dream again, a golden lion roaming freely in front of the ancestral house located at the center of the savannah, trying to tell her something which she couldn't quite remember. Shaking off the images, she sits up and glances at the faint glow of dawn, creeping through the cracks in her hut. Unable to ignore the dream's intensity, she sneaks out of her hut on tiptoes, careful not to creak the bamboo floor, and makes her way to her grandmother's hut, under the soft moonlight. She approaches her grandmother, wrapped in a faded Adaya cloth, her wrinkled hands clasped together with herbs in them. Abigail's rumpled Ankara wrapper clings to her body, and her pretty hair seems out of place amidst her disheveled state. Her sleepy eyes fixed on her grandmother's wise face, seeking comfort and solace in the still of the night, away from the eerie shadows of her own hut. Abigail's grandmother, without looking up, said, "You dreamed of the lion again, didn't you?" Abigail nods, feeling both comforted and unnerved. Abigail answering said, "Yes, but it felt different this time. The lion, it looked at me, like it was trying to tell me something." Her grandmother puts down her herbs and studies Abigail carefully. Her eyes are old yet sharp, filled with wisdom and concern. She said, "These are not mere dreams, Abigail. The golden lion is a messenger of our ancestors. They are trying to tell you that the land is in trouble. And you, my child, have been chosen." Abigail feels a chill run down her spine. Abigail, a bit frightened, said, "Chosen for what? I'm just a girl. How can I do anything to help the land?" Abigail's grandmother replied saying, "There is a prophecy," the grandmother says, her voice growing somber. "A child of the savannah will rise to bring balance when the earth cries out. I believe that child is you." Abigail is overwhelmed by this revelation. She looks out over the savannah, stretching out in the early morning light, feeling a strange pull toward its vastness. Episode 2: The Hidden Path. Days pass, and Abigail becomes more restless. The drought worsens, animals are seen less frequently, and villagers whisper that the spirits are angry. One evening, Abigail went out with her best friend, Kefi, to explore the savannah. Kefi, whispering, said, "Are you sure about this, Abigail? The elders won't be happy if they find out." Abigail replied saying, "They don't understand, Kefi. I need to find answers. I can't ignore this any longer." They make their way into the tall grasses, moving cautiously as the landscape changes around them. After hours of trekking under the blazing sun, they stumble upon a dense thicket with a narrow path hidden between thorny bushes. Kefi told Abigail saying, "This path, it feels like it hasn't been walked on in years." Abigail said, "That's why we need to follow it." The path leads them deeper into the savannah, revealing a hidden oasis surrounded by ancient stone carvings. Abigail gasped. The symbols on the stones match the ones she has seen in her dreams. Abigail, touching the carvings, said, These are the symbols from my dreams." As she runs her fingers over the carvings, they suddenly glow with a faint light. Kefi steps back, her eyes wide. Kefi quickly said, "Abigail, what's happening?" Before she can answer, a rustling sound breaks the silence. They turn to see a pair of gleaming eyes watching them from the shadows. Fear grips them both as a large figure emerges, a majestic lion with a golden mane standing before them, locking its eyes onto Abigail's. Episode 3, The Gathering Storm. Abigail and Kefi race back to the village, their hearts pounding from their encounter with the lion. When they arrive, the village elders are waiting, faces stern. The village chief spoke saying, "Where have you been, Abigail? What nonsense are you chasing out there in the wild?" Abigail, out of breath, tries to explain. Abigail responded saying, "I saw it. The golden lion. Just like in my dreams. It's real, and it's trying to show me something." The elders exchange uneasy glances. The chief steps forward. The village chief said to her, "Dreams are not reality. You must stop this foolishness before you bring further misfortune upon us." Feeling the weight of their disapproval, Abigail retreats to her grandmother's hut. Her grandmother sits by the fire, looking at her with knowing eyes. Her grandmother said, "They do not see what you see, child. Fear blinds them to the truth." Abigail, frustrated, said, "But I don't even know what the truth is. I just know that I have to find out." The drought worsens, and crops begin to wither. Villagers start to blame Abigail for disturbing the balance, muttering that she has angered the spirits. Abigail feels torn, but she cannot ignore the call she feels deep inside. Late that night, Abigail steps outside her hut, feeling a strange pull. The savannah is eerily quiet, save for the whisper of the wind. As she walks toward the edge of the village, she notices a shadowy figure watching her from the distance. The figure's outline flickers, like a mirage in the moonlight. Abigail said, "Who's there? Show yourself." But the figure vanishes as quickly as it appeared, leaving Abigail standing alone. Episode 3, The Gathering Storm. Episode 4, The Ancestral Call. Abigail confronts her grandmother, demanding to know more about the prophecy and the visions. Abigail said, "You've known more about this all along, haven't you? Why didn't you tell me?" Her grandmother sighs, the firelight reflecting in her wise eyes. Her grandmother said, "Yes, Abigail, our family has been the guardians of this land for generations. Your mother, too, felt the call. But she was taken too soon." Abigail in shock said, "Mother was a guardian." Her grandmother responded, "Yes. And now, that mantle falls upon you." Abigail, determined to embrace her role, agrees to participate in a secret ancestral ceremony. As they gather under a sacred tree, Abigail feels the presence of her ancestors. The air around her grows heavy, and she closes her eyes, entering a trance. In her vision, she sees a queen draped in golden robes, commanding the savannah's creatures with strength and grace. The queen turns to Abigail, her eyes piercing. She said, "The balance of the land is in your hands, child. Rise, or all will be lost." Abigail gasps as the vision ends, feeling an overwhelming surge of power within her. She collapses to the ground, the weight of her newfound responsibility crashing over her. As she lies on the ground, the faint roar of a lion echoes through the air. Episode 5, The Trials of the Savannah. Abigail wakes up the next morning, feeling an inexplicable change within her. Determined to fulfill the prophecy, she set out on a journey to complete the trials laid out by the Savannah spirits. She is joined by Kefi, her friend, who refuses to let her face the dangers alone. Kefi said, "You think I'm just going to let you go out there without me? We're in this together." They venture deeper into the savannah, facing obstacles that test their strength, courage, and wisdom. The first trial leads them to a dry riverbed, where they must cross to reach the other side. Kefi worriedly said, "Abigail, this is too dangerous. We'll be swept away if the water returns." Abigail responded, "Then we must trust the land to guide us." They begin to cross when the ground beneath them starts to crumble. Abigail spots a series of stones beneath the water surface that seem to align in a hidden path. She steps forward, placing her faith in the guidance of the spirits. One by one, they make it across safely, but Abigail collapses on the other side, drained of energy. Kefi, panicking, said, "Abigail, wake up. We can't stop now." Abigail opens her eyes, weak but determined. As they continue, each trial grows harder, from navigating treacherous terrain to deciphering ancient symbols. Episode 6: The Whispering Wind. Exhausted but resolute, Abigail and Kefi ventures into the valley, where the shadows whispers in tongues they do not understand. The whispers swirl around them, confusing their senses. Abigail closes her eyes, focusing on the wind's rhythm. Abigail calmly said, "The wind carries the voices of our ancestors. We must listen." As she tunes into the whispers, the shadows begin to shift, revealing figures of our ancestors. They are ethereal, their faces filled with wisdom and sorrow. One of them said, "You seek the path of the guardian and great queen, but the trials are meant to test your heart. Are you prepared to sacrifice for your people?" Abigail takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of their gazes. Abigail said, "I will do whatever it takes to protect my home and my people." The shadows nod, and the valley begins to change. The fog clears, revealing a majestic landscape filled with vibrant air and ancient stones. Kefi, who was amazed, said, "Abigail, look. It's beautiful." As they approach the stone, it glows with a warm light. Abigail steps forward, feeling a surge of energy. She finds a sacred space between in which she pulled an amulet. Abigail, whispering, said, "This must be the amulet of the Savannah Queen." Abigail grasps the amulet, feeling its power flow through her.